Hey guys, it's Penelope in London. We're going to look at Mercury that's just gone retrograde. I'm going to run through a bit of this chart. And if you look right now, that you can see the sun is heading in towards Mars in the coming days. So we're having some anger rising, but with that Mercury retrograde, you can see that it's currently square to Pluto. And then we can also see that as we move ahead, the sun, like literally we got Mars in opposition to Chiron, and this is our wound. We've got the sun's going to be moving on in there. We've got Mercury that's going to be heading back to actually really interestingly 10 degrees of Libra. From now, it's going to go retrograde until the 18th of October. So it's going to head back bit by bit, and it's going to be in opposition to Chiron. So this is quite a loaded chart for the end of this year coming, because we've got two eclipses, solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, maybe not in that order. And then we've got also the new moon, which will be in Scorpio around November time. We do have another moon coming up, but in October we've got two more, and then we've got another, so this is interesting times we're in, because when we look at the configurations going on here, I will show you my chart as well, because what you want to do with this Mercury retrograde is look at what area of life it's happening for you, which is very important. This is the collective chart. And when we look at what the definition of Mercury retrograde is, it's where, if we go from the evolutionary school of astrology, it's where evolutionary over many lives, the Mercury retrograde person has indiscriminately collected information from a diversity of sources in the efforts to create logical structures. So in order for us to make sense of the world, we've had to create, structure through information and communicating. It wouldn't have happened on its own. It's like communication, what our needs and our feelings and the subjective. And also some people are born with Mercury retrograde. I know a few people. I don't have Mercury retrograde at birth, but for me that's happening in my 11th house. Also the information that has been indiscriminately collected, their souls have become a library of random information that has caused intellectual confusion because of the different forms of information that have been collected, and they can conflict with themselves. So what's really going on here is that if we look back to the last Mercury retrograde, I can't remember the dates there, but if we look back, let's just give an idea, an example. Let's say 3 months ago, Mercury was retrograde, and we've collected lots of information and data randomly over that time of all of the things that have been going on in our own lives. And also for us personally, the Mercury would have been touching certain things, it would have been in certain houses. And now we're going to rewind, review, release, and reflect, and hopefully relax and not try and do anything. So the idea of going out and buying new electrical objects and all of these things that we want to do and travel, unless we've really got to do something, we're better off just going inward at this time, particularly with this configuration here with the Pluto, because that Pluto's in Capricorn, which is the public face, the public eye. And we can see that what's going on has been very tricky in the world, as we all know, the truth and, versus force, power versus force. That's a book by Dr. David Hawkins. But, how also is the things that are taking place, are they life-giving or are they life-draining? Again, people are going to have different views. We also know that in evolutionary astrology, we look at that Mercury retrograde points to Jupiter, and Jupiter is the higher mind, but also we can be dogmatic somewhat with that Mercury in Libra. So we have to watch out for that. So let's just give you a few things here. So if we look at the Mercury in Libra, what we're looking at, it represents the mind, Mercury does, and we know that it's quick moving, and it spends 2 to 3 weeks in a sign, unless it's retrograde, and it's gone retrograde in the sign of Libra, which is to do with partnership and business and all of our relationships as well, dealing with others, partners. And with Mercury in Libra, it's easier for us to understand the other person's point of view. And this is an exceptional opportunity to collaborate and achieve mental agreement about matters that require, us to consider the equality of a situation. So this is really interesting, because we do know with what's going on that it's not very equal at the moment. People have their own beliefs, and there are some mandates going on, and different countries are having to, are firing staff, and some of the staff that's being told to leave are, very much needed in society, like nurses and stuff like that, walking away from jobs. So with this retrograde, where clearly we've made some boobs, I would say, when I say boobs, in the sense that, that there's information that's been going around that's probably not 100% correct, in the sense that some of the enforcements upon humanity may be not correct either. And we don't know the truth of some things. And I'm sure we all get the gist of where I'm going here. So with this, Mercury, it's about other, it's in Libra. And when we look at the idea that that is square to Pluto, and it's going retrograde as it's hit Pluto, and it's going back to the wound of humanity, which is Chiron, opposition to, and these two, the Sun and the Mars, which are going to, hit each other, are then going to, be in opposition also to Chiron. There's a lot of wounding that's going on, and people are having to hide some of the real things that are happening to them in life. I was shopping today, and I went out and I spoke to somebody at the till, and I said, have you known anybody that's, been vaccinated, had any problems? And some people have had problems, and some people seem to be okay with it. So, we're all different, and we forget that. And we have to take each other into account. We have to be fair, and we have to start figuring this out in order to move forward. So the current chart, when we look at, there's some other stuff going on here that with that Mercury retrograde that's quite nice, that, with the Sun conjunct Mars, which is not quite hit conjunct yet exact, it's 3 degrees away difference, but it's there. The Sun is our vitality, and Mars is our action and energy and drive. So with that conjunction, there's going to be a light shining on the power potential. But remember, Mercury's going retrograde there, yes? So where we want to push forward, we might want to push forward, but we're being held back. And there's a sense of fearlessness as well, because people may have had enough and they're thinking, they want to move forward. And there's a lot of courage at this time that's going to come forward, with people thinking that anything is possible, which maybe is needed. We need a push to get things moving. The other thing that we've got going on is that the Sun right now is actually square the moon, but Mars is opposition to Chiron. And, again, our drive, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So you see here, opposition. And this is where, with this opposition, there's an enhanced ability, for actions to arise based on hidden issues. So there are hidden issues at the moment, and that have long been walled away, particularly over the last couple of years going on. And this could, this is about our wounding collectively, but on our own chart, it's going to be about our own personal wounding, whatever that may be. And also, these are maybe painful and difficult patterns of behaviors, but the more we make something conscious, when we make something conscious, then we're able to accept and go into deep healing. But we need transparency as well. So that Mercury is helping us by doing what it's done, reaching here and squaring Pluto, which is the government, public, Mercury, local communications, and dealing with our day-to-day chores as well, and activities and siblings in Gemini. In Gemini, it would be Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. And then with that, also going back and hitting Chiron, we can see that there's stuff to be uncovered. And with the Pluto, there's stuff to be uncovered in that Mercury there. So I just wanted to see the Sun opposition will also oppose Chiron as well, as it moves in the next 4 days. It's going to be exact. And then we've got some nice stuff going on, that Venus is sextile to Pluto, but that Venus is going to be moving over that South Node that's coming up as well, which can karmically be about loss or the end of something. It could be beneficial, but we have to wait and see. it is in Scorpio at the moment, but when it does that, it's going to be in Sagittarius, which is truth. Yes, it's the truth of things, Jupiter, expansion of, for better or for worse. The sun is also trying to Pluto, but that's weak, I think. It's within 11 degrees. And we've also got this is what I'm looking for, is the moon is squaring Mars at the moment as well. The moon is also square to Chiron. So we could be feeling quite tender right now. But with the sun, I'm just looking Mercury square Pluto, that's what I was looking for. So again, communication, transformation, birth, death, transformation. And it's where we can become dogmatic with that Mercury there and the Pluto going on. And it's where we're analyzing psychological matters. And this can help us to deflect the intensity because we're going inward as well with that Mercury going retrograde. And then it's where we get to heal outmoded patterns. And we may want to be, searching and being detectives at this time, either for ourselves or for others or for the bigger picture. And we can also see the motivations of others maybe clearly at this time, as we observe, because as we go inward, we're able to see more as well. And as we're reflecting, and this can cause a sharpness as well, people having sharp tongues because Pluto, Scorpio as well, it ties in there, Scorpio. And if I read the Libra to you, some of the keywords of that Libra, and tie it in with the Mercury, which is the communication for right now, it may be helpful to you. I'll show you my chart in a minute. So we can say that Libra is about the other. It's where we're social, it's objective awareness, it's relationships, comparison as well. It's others' needs. It's not just our own, it's projection. And it's also where we can be people pleasing. We want to listen, it's listening. We need to listen to ourselves with that retrograde, Mercury retrograde there. It's extremes, there's the polarity, there can be denial, it can be a mask as well. And we know that Pluto in 10 in Capricorn, that's also the public mask, the public face. We all got one, we all do that. And we really need to get to grips that we've all got a shadow. The danger is in this time is that people think it's them. And I have to add that if we go back to Hitler and the Jews and the war, there would have been that both sides, all sides, the us and them, the them and us. And when people do atrocities, unfortunately, even with atrocities, people think they're right. And this is horrendous that people can be so, just so demeaning to each other and so, tragic to each other and actually think that they are right. It's very difficult when we see this planet. See, we're better off being a bit more balanced with this Mercury in Libra. We're learning balance with Libra. It's not that Libra is balanced. It's about, figuring out what is the balanced thing to do here. And that will be inwardly as well with ourselves. We've also got beauty with Libra, and it can also be surface and shallow. There can be half-truths. It can be boundaryless. There's social grace. There can be damaged trust, and also there can be codependency. There's also relatedness, and there's idealism, and it is appearances as well. And it's also intimacy. And then again, coming back to that square, when we look, Pluto is also Scorpio related. I've got Scorpio rising. So we've got, with the Plutonic energy, we have Scorpio keywords would be fear of entrapment, it's resourcefulness, it's power and powerlessness. It's also to do with betrayal. It can be the spy, it's psychology, it's compulsions, obsessions, fear of vulnerability, fear of intimacy, abandonment, phobias, paranoia, and it's merging as well. It's alchemy and metamorphosis. It's also where we can, have intensity. It can be very intense, and violence as well. So again, then we can take into account that this Mars will be moving on in towards Pluto. So this chart is loaded for the rest of the year. That's all I need to say, really. It's I think it's actually probably going to be difficult for what we've got going to see ahead of us, but ultimately, we will conquer and overcome what's going on. Not overnight, clearly, but we need to look after ourselves this time, particularly if we're living in where we're just going into winter. Vitamin D, I just got a vitamin D blood test via the NHS, which was 29 quid. And I'm getting that because I want to make sure I'm taking vitamin D supplement drops, and I want to make sure that I'm not taking too much vitamin D, because you don't want to over supplement such things because they can be toxic. So that's really good. And then you can find out, how much you need to take. So that's just a tip. But also we've got other things going on in the UK with the petrol and with the lack of lorry drivers, and other countries have their same issues, different or same or different issues. We've got the Saturn, which is going to go direct. It's square to Uranus, and the Uranian energy is where we want to break free of limitations, and we're stuck between, the deep blue ocean and an island or something. We're stuck. So we want to break free of limitations, but this is a time, evolutionary time, that, I feel very blessed to be here. It's been very difficult over the last year for many of us, but I think a lot of us have managed to fill in our time with, and being resourceful as well, being very resourceful. So we want to give ourselves a pat on the back where we've been moving forward and helping others and seeing the bigger picture as well, because if we float above all of this and we think that we're on a planet flying through space, there's a much bigger picture going on than we're aware of, that's for sure. So if we then take days ahead, we know that that's going to go, I'll take it up till the 18th so you can see what's going on. This is the 29th of September. This is the 30th. Then we're going to go another 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see that the sun then on the 5th of October is just going to then at 13 degrees go 2. It's just touched in with Mars here. And then we got Mercury there and the moon would have crossed over all of that. You can see that the Venus will begin to cross if we go another 2 days ahead. 1, there you go, it goes into 8th of October, it goes into Sagittarius. Then it will cross over that south node. This is our needs. And this is also, we've got all of this, then it's in opposition to Lilith, and Lilith did not want to lay below Adam in the Garden of Eden in the mythology, okay? So, and also we know that as this keeps going forward, we're going to have when the sun and the moon, the sun will meet in the sign of, the sun will move into Scorpio. So then we'll have the moon there. So if I go forward, actually 2, because I know we're going to have 2 moons coming up that I will do. But if you look at this on the 4th of November, we've got this going on here. This is actually the 5th here. But if I go back by hours, I mean, this is auspicious, this one here. Some astrologers have already brought this up, because that is actually, which is quite incredible, is in opposition to breaking free of limitations. So this is fascinating. And also that Mercury, if we go back, let's go back a few days. We want to go back to 24. You see here, 27. We're going back by hours. That's going to take forever. Days, 1, 2. There you go. So that then on the 2nd of November also will square to Pluto again. So this is fascinating stuff that's going on. That is what I can tell you. So let's see where it all heads. Look after yourselves out there. Before I go, I'm just going to show you my chart. So look at your own chart. Go to astro.com or AstroSeek. I like both. And you can look at your own chart and you can see, for me, that Mercury is going to go back into my 10th house, which is my career and public arena. And then it will, this is groups and hopes and dreams at the moment. So then it will, I'll go quiet for a while later in the coming couple of months. And that actually, that moon, which will happen in my 12th house, the Scorpio, which is interesting. but I'm okay with that. So, and that Venus today, bless me, is going to be touching in on my South Node. So I'm wondering what that is meaningful to me, because that can be karmically, it's putting something to, there are benefits that can, or there can be something that's ending. There's something ending there, but it can be karmically a good thing as well. So depends how we look at things, and then also how that will aspect for me. So you can see that when it hits that South Node for me, it's trining all of this down here. And then, what else is this doing for me? So you can see that it sextiles up here for me as well when it does that. So it's not all doom and gloom when we look at charts. And you can see that my 15 degrees Pluto and Uranus is on my MC. So I'm thankful for my chart. Actually, the moon right now is just moving into my 8th house, but it's, look at your, again, you want to know what that moon's doing as it goes through the cycle of the month, because it can tell a lot for you. When my moon a few days ago, not even a few days, like a day ago, it would have been square to Pluto. So I feel this moon quite strongly when this happens for me, the moon square Pluto and such like. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'll catch you later. And if you want to book a session, then I'm doing sort of some voluntary stuff, but also I'm doing donations. So maybe have a look at that. Look at my link below the video. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.